This is Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on the Zone of Delight to have Mr. Paul Smith with me. What's happening, mate?
I'm okay, mate. You all right?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Can I ask? It looks like you're either in a cafe or a little underground speakeasy pub. Where are we at the moment?
We're in a coffee shop, but it's in the Liverpool city centre. Baby eight, just sitting, chilling, relaxing, watching people eat the foods, and I'm going to roll to myself in a minute.
Busy morning?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Just a bit all paced, a little bit of pace and stuff. Just busy constantly. It's always got four kids, mate, and we've started from boxing, so at the wall with managing and things like that. So it's always busy, mate. Always so much.
Well, we've got a couple of things I'd like to talk about today. I want to kick off by talking about the Global Fighters Union. So you yourself are a co-founder alongside a good friend of ours, Amir Khan. And it's a movement, or I guess as it says in the name, a union that aims to support fighters across kind of the bumps in the road that a combat sports career comes with. Would that be a fair way to put things?
Yeah, it has to be a fully recognised trade union, and we're almost at that stage now. It's obviously takes time to do that, and we have to be there for boxers and fighters in general. And the only way to do that is by strengthening numbers. The only way to do that is by having a lot of fighters or every fighter on board to help them support them. And we're highlighting the things that should be in place for boxers, which aren't in place, like insurance, like healthcare, like paths into work when you retire from boxing. No one really speaks about how brutal the game can be, boxing and fighting and combat sports. Once you retire, once you've done, that's it. You're done. You're forgotten about most of the time. And unless you've looked after yourself financially and physically, and unless you put money away, and unless you've looked after your health or your faculties, and by the grace of God that your faculties are still there, and your brain is okay and your body's okay, then what do you do? Because no one's there to help you after boxing, and that's it's a bit. It leaves a sour taste on my mouth. It always has done. And a lot of other people in boxing or who know boxing who are shocked and surprised. And look, there is no union. There is no sort of network there for boxers. And people always assume the boxing world it's all the ones that do it. They don't do anything like that at all. I haven't heard of one single instance where the boxing world at all has helped the next fighter who's struggling. And I'm not having a go at them. They're the governing body in the UK with boxing. In the MMA is a bit different in the States. The governing bodies are all sorry, not governing body, the sanctions and the commissions in the States are all different state by state, but ultimately they all answer to the government. And over here it's not a private company, and if we can do something and have people involved at the very highest level in this country to oversee some of the things that happen in boxing, so these rules are in place, that boxing can't be just left on the pile when they're finished and can't just be treated badly or not paid the right way or done the right things. So then we can change that and we want to change that.
I find it astonishing that combat sports are one of the only sectors with such little regulation. Um, when I saw the press release for the Global Fighters Union, I'll be honest, I was surprised that this isn't something that's happened before 2024. I know your launch is next month, but I'm surprised this isn't something that's already happened.
Same, yeah, and that's the thing. I'm surprised that that hasn't happened. There's people watching two fighters on television, and they're having probably a fight of the year, and they'll assume that they're on hundreds of thousands of pounds or £1 million each. They're on 5 or 10 grand each, and that's not after they pay the deductions, the manager, the promoters, the fees, the board tax, the strength and conditioning clubs. They're probably left with 1,800 quid, 1,500 quid, 2 grand out of 5 grand, or you know, it's not viable. It's not a job. It's not something they can do full time. So they're going back to work on the building site and the fighting, and they're trying their best to have a good career. But 9 times out of 10, they're not going to get it because they just haven't got that opportunity to do it because the pay isn't good enough. And that's not the promoter's fault. That's everyone's fault. There's got to be a demand for you to fight. Fighters have to sell tickets. That's how it goes. But if there's a union in place that can take the brunt of, a percentage of ticket sales here or there, or a percentage of television money and give it back to the fighters who need it most, then the money will be distributed to the fighters that need it most and looked after in the case that in the sense that they've got insurance in place, healthcare in place. You know, if you die in the ring, your family are not going to get paid much at all from either the boxing board's control or either the sanctioning body that at the belt that you're fighting for. If you're fighting for a belt, you could lose your life in a 6-round fight. You can lose your life in a 4-round fight. You can lose your life in a world title fight. It's all the same. It doesn't matter. But the point is, a fighter will lose their life in the ring within the next 5 years, and the stats prove that. Now, if and when that happens, unfortunately, I hope to God it never happens, but unfortunately it does, and it will. And if and when that happens, the fighter's family should be compensated and should be looked after and should be have the small, probably what will feel meaningless comfort at the time of knowing that at least the mortgage is paid, or at least they died doing the job and they died doing the job that they love, but they were paid and compensated for that job as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the word television a minute ago. What's the thought process behind how you can ensure that broadcaster revenue trickles down to the right places without kind of going too technical? But I guess that's your plan, right?
Yeah, well, we that's how the PFA does it. The PFA, you don't all of a sudden start asking players in the Premier League or in the UK for percentage of the wages. It doesn't happen. You're not going to get enough fighters. I don't think even got enough fighters. We're trying to make fighters pay less money, so why would we start taking percentage from them? You know, and 1% of the pay to a fighter making more than £1 million is a lot less of a hit for them than 1% of the fighter only making £2,000 or £3,000. So we don't want to be doing that. We can have a set fee of fees, a set amount every year, less than the license fee that they're paying to be licensed to box. But all together, collectively, that money coming in, we'll put that to good use. With the boxing board control, you're paying board tax every time you fight. I think it's 4% you have to pay to the boxing board control every time you fight. You also pay your license fee every single year. If you fight abroad with the boxing board control, you pay a levy for one of their officials to come over with you. And ultimately, I think that should all be included in the license fee, but it's not. If you get your medical sometimes, or 9 times, then it has to be in a place approved by the boxing board control, rather than go and get a cheap scan somewhere else and make sure that you get your right medical it's easy to take care of. And if you can get a cheaper grade for it, but you know, you shouldn't have to go through prepared scanners or prepared people or prepared companies because it's some sort of sponsorship deal or things like that. There's so much that needs correcting and needs fixing. If there's only one company or one governing body or one commission running things in the country, then it's their way or no way, and that's wrong. And this isn't anti-boxing board control. This isn't against the boxing board control. This isn't against any promoters in specific. This isn't against the group of people or the group of, you know, any. It's everyone. This is everyone. We just want to see as a union boxing run fairly, run correctly, run the right way. We want to see fighters looked after and fighters taken care of, because without the fighters, there is no sport. And that's what people have to remember. In combat sports, I see people all the time, the fans are this, the fans are that. The fans are great. The fans make it happen. The fans pay the bills. The fans are the ones that are buying tickets, and the fans are the ones that create that unbelievable atmosphere. But without the fighters, there is none to watch. And that's how it has always been and how it always will be. So we wanted to take care of the fighters because they are everything.
Yeah, 100%. I can just hear, well, I can just take from by the way you're talking about this that, like you said, it's not against anyone, it's just for the fighters. One more thing on this. I know your launch is January, but you've been laying the groundwork for about a year, 18 months?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least 18 months. This was an idea years ago where, you know, something should be in place and it's not. And why isn't it in place? You know, we want to know why it isn't in place, why someone's decided before and hasn't worked out, and how we do this. And we're coming at it from a trade union perspective, from the union side of things rather than the boxing side of things. We've got people on our board and on the team that are doing involved with labour and business, and former trade unionist and Paul Maloney, who's one of the, you know, one of the straightest speaker men I've had a conversation with in a short period of time that I've known him. He's actually one of the only fellas in the world I've got a bit of fear of as well. You know, his voice is enough to put a bit of fear in here.
He must have a bit about him.
He's a lovely fella. He's very fair. He's very straight. I mean, he will fight for anyone and everything. And that's what we need to involve with the union. We're doing this from a different angle and a different perspective. No one's in it to try and make money. No one's in it to try and get, you know, paid well out of it. every year with the union, once it's up and running completely, we'll have a system in place where we vote whoever runs the union, and the union members can and will vote for that, and we won't have a too long a time of period for someone to run it and be in charge of it, because we don't want it getting stale. We want to constantly keep the union fresh, keep it independent, keep it run by the fighters, or for the fighters only, and we'll do it in the right way, and that way it can't help but work, and it won't fail, because it's coming at things from a good, honest place where we just want to help fighters. No one's in this to benefit financially.
Mate, here sounds like a brilliant initiative, and I'm excited to see from January where things go. Right, I've got a couple of other things to ask you. I think you know what one of them's going to be. Callum versus Joshua Buatsi. First off, by the way, that Feb 22nd card is scandalous. Is that the best card we've ever seen?
I can't think the best I've ever seen, because there was some big one. I never got to see them, obviously, because I wasn't born. Some of the 70s and 80s, some of the big cards I used to see in the 80s. I've seen a few of them on BoxRec where, like, they could imagine buying a ticket to this, not realising what these fighters would become. And there's some fighters on it. But listen, probably the best card I've seen in a long, long time in world boxing. And all this stuff's happening because of His Excellency Turkey over there. He's putting these shows on. Riyadh season has been phenomenal for boxing in the last couple of years. And even if I see someone saying, even if it is just two-year window, then make the most of it while it's happening. I can't see it being a 2-year window. I think this is going to go on for a long time. I think that he's one of the most important men in boxing now, His Excellency, and Saudi is driving. So, this show is something else, and to have one of my brothers be part of it, Callum in a great fight against someone who's a very decent fighter himself, and a good lad to Joshua Buatsi. We're against him for the next, however long it might be, 12 weeks, 15 weeks, or whatever it is, but we've always admired him, how good a fighter he is. I think he's been the best, Callum aside, he's been the best out of the rest of the domestic light heavyweights in the country. Always been one of their standouts for me, but this is top level boxing, and I really fancy Callum in the fight to make a big statement to become a two-weight world champion.
Yeah, was this in the background during the Birmingham fight week? Because we saw Callum open the show, a fairly low-key week for him in terms of what he's been involved with in his career. But that week, Eddie started banding around Joshua Buatsi. Then we all asked Callum, I asked Liam. Everyone was talking about the potential of Callum and Joshua Buatsi. He wins in his 8-rounder, and then a couple of days later, Buatsi's announced. So was this always in the background during that week in Birmingham?
Yeah, obviously, listen, you know boxing, you know what it is. If this fight's for an interim title, then you have to have a win on your records. And his last fight was a loss against Batavia, the 3 belts. So that's how it goes with sanction bodies. If it's for an interim title, which it is, then you need to have a win on your record. But regardless of that, you need to be active. You've got to be active in boxing. Callum's main problems, and he's going to say the same as Paul in the last 4 years has been activity. COVID didn't have that with anyone, but then obviously what's happened since COVID, it's not been enough fights. So with a bit of activity, he got 5 rounds in the other week in Birmingham, and I set him up in February. He straight into camp and is working now. Just keep cool down a little bit, but keep that base and get to work into this next fight, which is a huge fight.
Yeah, what have you made of? I know you said you respect him and okay, you're against him for these 12, 15 weeks, but what have you made of Joshua Buatsi's 2024 2 big wins in Dan Aziz and Willie Hutchinson? And I guess perhaps starting to fulfill the promise that he turned over with many years ago.
Yeah, he's been a little bit guilty in the past of probably just doing enough, but Bivol always just did enough. And look what he did against Canelo. And certainly turned it up. And I felt he nicked the Batavian fight myself, but no complaints over that, because it was a top quality fight where a couple of rounds were really tough to score in the middle, so could have gone a point either side, and I think it was that type of fight. But with Buatsi, he's got that ability. I'm not sure how he's gonna be when it gets hard, when it gets tough, when he starts taking shots. And I think that's when we'll know a lot about him. Listen, he could have it, but I'm not sure, and I know the difference in someone like Callum here, as opposed to someone like Willie Hutchinson or listen, Dan Aziz is a good fighter, or the Buatsi fight, which I watched the Buatsi fight, it was a good win, very good win for Buatsi, and a good fight between two good kids. But I fancy Callum in this. And I think on his day, both of them on the day, and they were both of them at the very best. I think the best Callum Smith beats the best Joshua Buatsi. Obviously, that's it. The best two turn up. So we'll see. We'll see on the night. That's what makes these fights great.
I love it. Such a good fight. A couple of ones on a few of the boys that you're involved with. Steve Clark, probably one of the busiest fighters in 2024. Big 2025?
Yeah, hopefully. We just want to keep him busy. I said when he first turned pro, the first years it's not about money as such. Just he's being paid well, and want to make sure that stays the same way because he sells a lot of tickets as well. But if you can I say this to all fighters, if you can take a little bit less money and get more fights, that's what you need to do in your first year. The only way to get better at fighting is by fighting. The only way to become a better fighter is by having more fights and by learning from them fights. We're not matching them soft either. I'm not looking at opponents and wanting easier touches all the time. And the matchmakers will tell you that. If it's someone who I don't really like the look of style wise, or if it's someone who I don't think is going to be any good for them, where he might learn something, I'll say no to it. And I've got no problem doing that. But I'm not awkward. I want to work with matchmakers, and he's had 3 fights on matchroom shows and he's been matched well on them. And the other 2, he's usually had one where it was really, really, very much a given. The others have been decent matches, so he's learning on the job. He's a dream to manage, to be honest with you. And he makes my job easy because he's constantly in the gym, he's constantly working hard, he's constantly getting stuck in and doing everything that's asked of him. And he's constantly always just, what you need from me? Yeah, okay, I'll do it. And that's a breath of fresh air, But added to that, he gets on these shows and he's selling 60, 50, 70, 80 grand worth of tickets every time he fights. Out of his tickets, I think the least he's done has been like 350 tickets in Manchester, 400 tickets in Manchester. And out of them tickets, 120 of them are ringsides. But the most of the dozen with him, the major problem on the show, he's paying for this fight and probably a couple of others on the card every time he fights. So therefore, he's going to be on these big shows, which he's been on. I think his first 3 fights, he was on just before the main event in all 3 of them. And like that because of the ticket sales that he's got with his family and his friends behind him all buying tickets. But aside from that, I think we'll see the best out of Steve once he steps up in the round because his engine's unbelievable. He's a really fit kid. And once he gets into 8, 10, 12 rounds, you start down with people then with his work rate as well. I'm very, very happy to be managing of what he'll do in the future. And as I said, it's a pleasure managing because he's a lovely kid. I've been at a few of these tournaments being mentioned by His Excellency as well. And there was one at middleweight. So again, under 10 fights, he's only had 5. I'd be very confident putting him in one of them, and I wouldn't mind putting him in one of them tournaments to see what can happen of that. Because, as you say, with Riyadh season, something like that could be absolutely huge for any fighter at that stage. Steve's definitely at that stage.
Yeah, I was going to say about that tournament, I believe a case would have to be stated for a fighter. And I mean, if you were to just listen the last 90 seconds, 2 minutes you gave me about Steve Clark, I don't see why anyone would turn their nose up at sticking him in the tournament. I think he's made for it. And like you said, for me on a personal note, and for us who have to deal with him in the media, he's so polite, which goes a long way. Seems like a little bit of a full package that you got on your hands.
Yeah, but look, that's how he's been brought up as well. He's been brought up that way, and then he's got in there at the gym, and he's been brought up around, by your second family, so to speak, from all the other boxers and the coaches in there, and it's not how you have to be. You don't have to be a genuinely nice kid, but you have to be polite. You have to have manners. You have to have respect. You can't walk in that gym and have this there's no knobheads in that gym. You don't get a lot in the gym. You'll spend 5 minutes in there, they'll end up leaving, and you just don't fit in that gym. I mean, in the daytime, lot as well, with the OPO mob, which I'm now a member of, the art fellas. So everyone in that gym, it's got a way of treating people in there, and it's always been the same, and always will be the same. You're brought up by your family. The family have done a great job with them, and then the gym rounds you up a little bit more as well, and gives you that little bit of, a little bit of an extra upbringing. And it's I'm seeing it with my son now. I love when people stop to talk about my son and they talk about his boxing. That's great, but then they say how nice a lad he is and how nice a person he is. And that's exactly what it is with young Steve Clark. He's a credit to his family.
Yeah, just talking about your boy, national champion, might have been Talk Sport. Quote me if I'm wrong, and you know what it was. I was listening to something the other day, and they were talking about the Smiths, the fighting family, and whatnot. And they were actually laughing and going, "It's continuing because you've now got a national champion on our hands." Where's this going to stop?
It's if his younger sister wants to box, I'll be gutted, but I'll be made up. I was laughing and joking, but she's like she speaks a little bit different. She's like polite, she's so like she's just dead quiet, but she's got a little temper on her when she lets it go, and I know she loves the boxing deep down, like the shoulders and hands up like this, and she loves the little bit of aggression, and she's a brilliant little dancer and gymnast, so flexible, but she's so strong with it as well. And I laugh and joke all the time. I always say to her, "You're so strong, you're so strong." There's want to empower your kids, obviously, and not just tell them the lovely nothing because they're girls and be that, you know, tell her you're so strong and you can do anything. And it doesn't have to just be gymnastics and girly things. You can do boxing as well and other things because girls box. And I show Katie Taylor, Tasha Jones all the time. I show Chantal Cameron a lot of place. They always say, "Oh, look at her, you see her," you know. Watching Ellie Scotty recently on the telly in the last fight, I was like, "See her, I know her, she's my friend," and like, she's a fighter, and I'm not trying to get her into fighting, but I wouldn't mind her knowing how to box and how to look after herself, and I wouldn't mind her going through a few of the sessions in the gym just for the discipline and the manners and respect and things that you get from boxing gyms. I would recommend it to anyone. But he was obsessed with boxing, Paul. He's always wanted to do it. I was stopping him doing it when he was younger because he was a bit too young, and he finally got in to do it. And it's been a bit of a tough role for him. He's had a few things not go his way. He's had a few things definitely go his way, and he's worked hard and put the dedication and the discipline that he's shown, and the fitness and the desire and the effort that he's put in and the sacrifice that he's made. He's now boxed for England and he's now winning a national title. And he's got his heart set on turning pro. He's better than some of the kids I'm seeing turning pro now, and I'm like, "You're not ready yet." You know, there's no, and he knows that he's not even dreaming of turning pro anytime yet. He wants to do the senior ABAs. He wants to sign with the senior ABAs and sign back for England in the seniors and GB, get on the GB setup, go through the full card. Because he's watched his dad does do the same thing, those similar things. No, I never got on GB. GB wasn't around when I was boxing. It was just England. That's how old I am. It was GB for the Olympics only. And then GB started with Stephen, and then Stephen was on GB. Liam had a couple of sessions with Darren and then turned pro quick because he wanted to. And Callum was a full member of the GB setup with Joshua and Stork and then lads. But that's what Paul's dreaming about. He wants to be on GB setup. He wants to learn from some of the best coaches in the country and the best kids around him all the time. And he knows exactly what it takes because of his uncles and himself. So he's very realistic also. You know, but he's ambitious, but he's aware of what's going on. He's not pie in the sky, and he knows because of the pressure of his family, unfortunately for him, he's going to have to wait twice as hard, and he's going to have a lot to prove. And I laughed and joked with him. I said, like, "Your first national title, I'm so happy for you." It was like, I felt happier than when I won my first one watching you do it. And as a father, I'm sure Dad will relate to that because it's so true. But his first national title was our 20th in the house. We were laughing. Like, I got 5, Liam got 4, Callum got 2, Steve got 8, and then Paul's one is 20. And it was like when we won the British title, you know, it's like, another British title, well done, you know, we've had Andy Oliver, we've had all kinds of people who British titles, and then we had like Tommy Coyle and Luke Campbell, who were both great lads, fighting the Hull for the first ever British champion from Hull, and like, we had 4 in our house, and that's what I mean about sometimes at Liverpool boxing. Sometimes in Liverpool, you win something like, "Oh, okay, well done, that." But about 7 of others have done that, and unfortunately, you become a victim of the success of the city, which is great. With Paul, it's the success of his family, and although he hadn't won a national title, the first one he won, that was the NBC season. I never won them. I lost in the final with them to Lee Beavis. It's on his only relation, like, but Lee Beavis was a really good fighter. Boxed all kinds and beat all kinds. Myself, my fun, a few other lads in the amateurs. Really good southpaw from Dale Youth, another great gym. And he's been mate me and Oxford England with him and socialising, still keep in touch now. Lovely lad, really good boxer. But I lost in the NBC final. So when we lad won that, I kept saying to him, like, "Lads, I never won them. You know, I lost in them and you've won them." Say to me, "So that's the first one." And then keep working and trying to get a few more. And then I think it's safe to say if everything goes as it should and stays on this track, then he will turn pro, and if he wants to, you know, injuries aside, and hopefully he can do that and achieve his dream. But that's his only dream, is not to be a world champion professional.
It's so funny because I guess unless he becomes undisputed, you can constantly sit there and go, "Yeah, well, he's done that, he's done that." But I've always said this, I feel like behind some unsuspecting industrial estate in Liverpool somewhere, there's just going to be like a factory that says Smiths on it. You go in there and it's just a conveyor belt of them coming off, smashing a heavy bag. And
we're launching a management agency today. I've started a management agency with one of the ex football agents up here, and Brother Stephen's involved with the academy. When Liam and Callum retire, they can come over and they'll be involved with it, I'm sure. But we've been doing it for years, managing just individual names, and why not all join together collectively? And the four of us have got managers' licenses. Stephen, Liam, Callum, sorry, still fine. So I understand that they won't be involved just yet. But me and Stephen have got managers' licenses, trainers' licenses. Sorry, mate, we've got managers' trainers' licenses, and why not? Why not just make a group effort of it and get a nice business going and successful sort of agency type thing where we can look after fighters the right way again in line with the union. It's exciting times and we've got a lot of experience in boxing. We can guide people the right way.
Yeah. Just a couple of other things. I said I wouldn't keep you for too long, but I really enjoyed just chatting this morning. On Tommy Fury, was he wrong or right to pull out of the fight with Darren Till on the basis that he might end up facing some form of mixed martial arts?
What do you think?
Wrong.
Completely wrong. A fight's being made, a fight's being announced, you've shook hands on it, you've signed a contract, and you pulled out and something might or might not happen.
I mean, you've seen more fight contracts than I ever will. Surely there's a clause that states that if Darren is to try and grapple, if Darren is to try and kick or knee.
I was representing Darren in the fight before this. I got him on signs for the fight with Chavez in Dallas on the Tyson and Jake Paul undercard before the show got cancelled when Tyson got injured the first time. Was sick. I've seen the contract, and in them contracts it will have that you can't use any MMA tactics. Everyone knows this, that it will be in the contract somewhere. You cannot use MMA tactics. And not only that, I haven't seen Darren's contract. Not only that, it will also say that if you use them tactics, your pace will be forfeited to Tommy Fury, to the opponent. So if you just kick it, you're going to get paid twice anyway. But that's a big if. It's a big if. Look, I've seen some ridiculous things being said in press conferences. I've seen people calling people's mothers. I've seen Mike Tyson threatening people's children. I've heard all kinds of it and everything in press conferences. We all see it. We see all kinds of tables being thrown. We see everything happening in these press conferences. And it's to build fights up. Sometimes they mean it. Most of the time they don't. Trying to build a fight up because every one of them pay-per-view buys, the fighter gets a little percentage of it as well. So why wouldn't you want to? You're told by promoters to build fights up. He's been saying, look, I was kicking the head if I'm losing. I thought it was an hysterical line, to be honest with you. I'll laugh me every time I heard it. And he's saying there's no man in here that can stop me. He's probably right. But then to pull out of a fight once it's been signed, that's not what people do. That's not what fighters do. The fight's on, the fight's happening. If you pull out, it better be for an injury or some bigger opportunity that you've got. And then you're going to have to probably pay your opponent because you pulled out something that was contractually signed. If that's the case, then that's the case. But the pull out saying that, you're worried that he might kick you. I think personally he's chasing another fight. He's trying to get the Jake Paul fight or something. Now, I can't see Jake Paul offering him that fight while he knows he's fighting Darren Till. But if he's chasing a bigger fight, Darren Till is a big banana skin to get in the ring against if you want another fight right after, because realistically, that fight was very much 50-50, if not in Darren Till's favour, because of how hard he hits. He's knocking all kinds of fellas off the sparring left, right, centre. I've seen that with my own eyes. And listen, it gets back to people in gyms. You know, sparring stories get out and get back to people. And Darren has been looking good at sparring. He's been knocking fellas out, and it's probably getting back over to the gym. Maybe that's why. But who knows? Only Tommy Fury will know. Only he'll know. Only he'll know.
Yeah. Final one. Usyk-Fury 2 is just over a week away. Where's your money at second time round?
Safe bets. Usyk. Safe bets as a repeat, I think. But I watched the Undisputed documentary last night on Netflix. It was unbelievable. I thought it was absolutely unbelievable. It was shocking with the music and format of it, the way they kept going forward, back to it, do it round by round. It's one of the best documentaries I've seen in a long time. I don't know who's made it, I don't know where it's from, I don't know who's done it. One of the best documentaries I've seen, and it made a fight that was good look exceptional, look unbelievable. And I'm fully invested in the second fight after watching it last night, even though I was anyway. But I just can't see past Usyk. I think Usyk will always find a way. I think he's special. I've said that for a long time. We all have, we've been Usyk fans from the minute we first heard of him over the year. We've managed to meet him a few times. And Callum was in the lift with him in Monte Carlo on the Super 6 launch thing. And Callum asked him for a cap, and he asked Callum for a t-shirt and a cap of Callum. He was like, "You want one of my caps?" And Callum was buzzing just the fact that he knew who he was and he would be. But as a fighter, he's special. Rosamba's in his corner. Rosamba's in the camp with him all the time, and we hear stories of us. It's admiration stories. It's not like telling tales. It's like telling us how much strong he is mentally, how tough he is mentally, what he does in training to prove that and the way he is. And beat someone like that unless you knock him out. And to knock him out, you've got to catch him and you've got to catch him again. I don't think there'll be a one-punch thing if he's ever going to be knocked out on the head. So I'm not sure if Fury has got that left, got that desire left, got that. And listen, I wouldn't have that desire if I had Tyson Fury's finances and had achieved what he's achieved in the ring, because it's very hard to get out of bed and go to the gym every day and get your ass off and work your ass off to become a world champion when you want to be a world champion. It takes a lot to get out of bed, and I don't know if I would have that, but he is special. So he has. Now, if he can do it, he'll be one of the best comebacks and turnarounds of all time if he does do it. But I'm going to side with Usyk.